Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Stretford Paddock for our, I suppose you could call it a watch along for the final hour of the 2019 summer transfer window. I'd say where we were hoping we were going to have a better bit of news, or bit of better news, I should say. Where to even start, lads? Well, start obviously with the news that has just dropped there. Romelu Lukaku confirmed now to be an Inter Milan player. The fee supposedly in the region of 80 million euro, that is, so about 74 million pounds. United making their money back. We'll start from there, lads. What are we saying?
Good riddance.
Good riddance.
Trampoline touch is gone.
I was going to say two words that was around. I feel like he burned his bridges, really. I feel like there wasn't really much he could have done at this point. He had to go. There wasn't much else we could have done. Good price. To say that you were offering 53 million or what was it, 10 million loan with 20 million add-ons and sort of thing, like some ridiculous deals. 73 million is probably a good price.
Yeah, personally, I think that United have done quite well to get that much for him. Judging off his performances last season, he wasn't like really firing. He wasn't fitting into the system. I was obviously the jury was out pretty early with Lukaku. Obviously, he's a goal scorer. He's powerful. He's big, but like the style that Solskjaer is trying to like kind of implement, the like high pressing kind of energetic play, Lukaku was never going to fit into that. Really, he was never going to be able to change his ways. Obviously, he's been a certain kind of player, which has got him relatively successful so far. But I don't know, like he literally wasn't good enough for what we needed and what we needed to go forward. Obviously, we've not really got a viable replacement, but maybe we can look to the likes of Rashford and Martial kind of stepping up. Kind of gives them an opportunity, but as it goes for Lukaku, I'm not going to miss him. He might go into Milan, he might do well, wish him all the best. He might score plenty of goals.
Probably will, to be honest. He probably will bang 30.
Probably will, but his attitude after, in like volley speculation, tells you all you need to know, really.
And Gary Neville tweeting as well that he's over 100 kilos.
It's heavier than me. I'm unfit.
I'm a fat bastard. Like, that's heavier than I am. Like
100 kilos.
I mean, fair enough. You could say a lot of that is muscle or whatever, but to be 100 kilos and be a professional footballer is an absolute disgrace.
Get him in the ring with
Dylan. Fenway and like a million, where like being that big is probably going to make you most of your money. But 75 million for a player who's over 100 kilos.
Yeah, get him in the ring with Dylan White.
It's the best they could do in this market, to be honest. I mean, a lot of people saying as well, the Mandzukic thing was meant to be, people saying it was going to be a like-for-like replacement. Mandzukic come in and play, I should say, 10 to 15 games this season. I think Ed was clutching at straws. But I think the main talking point, we'll get into Lukaku a bit more, but where lack of midfielders. We've sold Fellaini last January window. Yeah. Sold Herrera on a free this summer. Who have we had to come in and replace? No one. You look at our midfield options for next season. Fred, McTominay, Pereira. Oh, we're talking even central midfield. You're talking Fred, McTominay, Pereira. Matic.
Matic. He's an easy one to forget, isn't it? Because he kind of forgets he plays football for Man United.
Forget he was one of the best midfielders in league, even 2 years ago.
I mean, he was
every dog has his day.
Every dog has his day, and his day is long gone as well. A couple of other deals flying, and we'll talk about flying around the Premier League as well. See what we think as well. Ryan Sessegnon looks to be on his way to Spurs as well, and it's just coming up there. Danny Rose, Watford.
I'm hearing Danny Rose being rejected, but
Watford doing absolutely.
Watford done quite a little bit of business on the final day, showing a little bit more ambition than we are.
Ismail Assar and then Danny Welbeck on a free as well, which could prove to be a shrewd bit of business if he keeps his.
Does anyone know the fee? Like the fee for Ismail Assar?
Ismail Assar, I think it was meant to be around 30 million.
Is it
30 million? Because I remember watching him in the World Cup for Senegal. Really, really impressed with him.
Yeah,
really cool. Yeah, Watford amazing. I mean, going back to, because obviously Danny Rose, if Danny Rose is leaving, that probably, or thinking about leaving, that probably makes Sessegnon a backup left back. Like, I mean, I know he's played left back or started his career at left back at Fulham, but he's shown.
Who's he backing up?
Well, I don't actually know. That's
Spurs. Ben Davies.
Ben Davies.
Obviously, Danny Rose is first choice, but he's been linked. They've obviously Tottenham have invested 30 million in signing Ryan Sessegnon not to warm the bench. I would imagine. I think they would have done it with the notion of feeling like they're going to get rid of Ben Davies or Danny Rose, as you can see with the speculation between him going to Wolves and that. So
it's 30 million a lot of money though. Like 30 million
not.
doesn't get you a starting player these days. I mean, we spent 80 million on Dan James. 30 million, you never know. And a lot of people saying
the value was higher because who was involved in the deal? Onoma.
Oh yeah, Onoma going the other way. Yeah,
that would have added a little bit of value because, for example, City have signed
Cancelo. Danilo going the other way.
In one of the most, I've got in one of the most swindleless deals I think I've ever seen in my life.
How much was it?
Okay, I'm going to list you through this deal now,
It's
and let me see if you think this is actually what a deal that's worth it. So the fee is 27 million. Then that's split over 5 years.
Yeah.
So Juventus are getting basically 5 million a year.
Yeah.
Then they value Cancelo at 60 million.
Yeah.
So they've now convinced. So City have convinced Juventus that Danilo is worth 35 million.
I was going to say that because obviously I've seen on transfer news on Sky Sports that the deal is like 60 million plus, like with everything added together. Yeah. But then I'm seeing that it's 27.5 million plus Danilo. So I'm saying, Juve really think that Danilo is worth more than Cancelo at this point? That's quite baffling.
Is that if it's made out to be what it is? He's basically the highest, like that, the highest transfer fee ever paid for a fullback, 60 million, which is ridiculous. Like, it's not worth 60 million. I think Danilo's worth 20 at most.
At most in this market.
And I'd say that probably, as I said, they're giving 5 million a year. That's just how do they do this? How can we sign no one and they can absolutely swindle Juventus?
How City swindle Juve, and then they've been so to be fair,
we swindled Juve. We said, all right, we'll give you this player that we don't even want anymore, and then they were like, yeah, you can have Dybala. Why not? And then we couldn't agree image rights. But I still don't understand what is going on at Juventus at the moment.
It's weird though, like we're saying there, the clubs are. Juve probably are ran better with transfers. Probably think, look who they brought on a free. Rabiot on a free, Ramsey on a free, Emre Can last year on a free. But like stuff like that.
But then you look at the wages and you're like, oh my god, that bill is awful because you've got Ronaldo holding them to ransom.
Ramsey on 400k.
Ramsey on 400k. I'm not sure what Rabiot's on, but I'm pretty sure that's extortion. Like they're giving
not range.
Like Delict is probably on like 350. I think they
bought Buffon back, and there's no way he's on the
exactly.
Top,
so like
to the States
you look at that wage bill and you're like, that's not. I mean, and obviously at the moment they're living off the fact that the money is going up because of Ronaldo's exposure. But in 2 years, they've got to deal with the consequences of the fact that he's probably going to move on.
Yeah, probably to China or something like that. Anyway, make sure, guys, as well, give the video a like, drop your comments in below. What do you think has been the deal of the summer so far? That's probably a question I should ask you, lads. What do you lads think of all the Premier League comings and goings this summer? What's been, the
That's a good question.
I'll let Ronaldo go. Ronaldo, go on.
That's a very good question. Let me have a little think.
Do you want me to go? Because I have.
You've got an immediate answer.
I got an immediate answer. I'm going to go.
I want to be a little bit.
Moise Kean from Juventus.
Moise Kean?
Speaking on Moise Kean or whatever. However we pronounce it. Moise. No, speaking on Juventus and how they're being run. They've given this young player, who everyone around him has said he's going to be a world beater in 2, maybe 3 years. He scores 6 goals in 9 starts, Juventus. And he's 19 years old, and they got him for 27 million in this market. When you're saying you're seeing young players going for like Delit went for 70 million, and I'm pretty sure Moise Kean's in that vote somewhere on that Golden Boy vote. He's going for 70 million, and then there's no buyback clause. They don't have to sell him back to Juventus for anything if it goes like that. And they've got him for 27 million, and it's 36 at max. That's a ridiculous base of business.
And how old is he's 19?
He's 19. Born in the year 2000.
Born in 2000. I think he scored 7 goals last season.
He's got an unbelievable goals to minutes
ratio. Goals to minutes ratio is insane.
It's like 70 every goal every 73 minutes.
That's actually a good point. How does a 19-year-old playing at a club like Juventus, with a minute to goal ratio that he has, how do you sign him in the current transfer climate? How do you sell him for less than 30 mil. That doesn't make any sense.
I feel like the fact
is actually
because he's not
that's actually
the squad maybe, and out and loan would have made sense for me.
Yeah.
He's 19,
because I feel like in 2 seasons, Sarri's not going to be there. I feel like it's one of those things that I see that they're going to lose it. He's going to go in 2 seasons when Ronaldo goes. They're probably bringing a manager. Might be Pep Guardiola. That was rumoured. He was going to move there a bit earlier on in the summer. Yeah. But the fact is, I feel like he's just so tactically inflexible, Sarri, that any player who doesn't fit straight away is just out.
I think, though, just playing advocate on the Kean thing, we talk about his goals to minutes ratio being insane. That's in a Juventus team that's walking Serie A when you've got players like Ronaldo, players like, Brado, creative players like that. Gonna really get that. He's got Gylfi Sigurdsson.
But then to counter that, a lot of people for years now have got kind of the theory that Serie A is quite a defensive league as well. So I'm not saying that defenses in Serie A are better than Premier League defenses, but it's not the worst level for a striker to show their goal scoring pedigree, etc.
It's not like Ligue 1
where
the general standard of teams is lower. Like Italian,
it's a very
Italian
tactical
football
league.
is very much tactically based on defensive and tactically, astute and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, look at other deals. I'll say, I mean, my honourable mentions would have been and LA Spurs. I feel like he's been a piece they've been missing. Probably ones that look a bit more expensive. Wan-Bissaka to United is a great deal. I feel like that's our best deal. But,
that's our best deal.
I feel like for the price, you've just got to say for 27 million, and they don't have to sell him back for 50. Yeah. In 2 years, he's as good as everyone thinks he's going to be. They've got
he's still 21 now.
£50 million player basically. With you take into account his age, his pedigree, and all that sort of thing.
It's a big punt to take on the kids though, young in the Premier League, and he is probably going to lead that Everton line this season.
It's actually quite.
Big Chank's gone, man.
Because now you got to think judging off the transfer window. Obviously, we're not going to get anything done for the rest of the deadline. It looks like. Where do you think United is poised to finish? Because we've got the likes of City and Liverpool who are kind of in a category of their own, and you've got probably Spurs just below them, and then and then 4th place. I'd say obviously it pains me to say, but Arsenal have had quite a better window than us. They look like they have a little bit of a stronger squad.
Have they fixed a lot of their issues though, Arsenal? Because I've been debating this quite a lot. Because a lot of my mates
I'm just gonna say this now: David Luiz doesn't fix Arsenal's defensive issues. I'm just gonna put that out there.
It does kind of come in for Koscielny, but they don't improve anything really central. Kearney will be an improvement at left back. I don't think you Socrates and Rob Holding to stay fit. And Socrates has looked good. I'm not going to say he's been looked bad. He's an experienced player, but I don't think. I think our defense. God forbid.
I think you're forgetting their best defender of Nafi.
Yeah, man. They couldn't even get rid of Mustafi.
No, they couldn't.
Summer, 25 million.
Monaco basically threw 30 million at him. I saw because some of my mates are Arsenal fans, and they're like, "Oh, just take it. Just take the money. Just take it. I'll drive him there. I'd take less. We'll give him 30 million." And then he was like, "Oh, I want to stay and fight for my place." And I've never seen one man look more depressed.
Awful. Again, that 30 million Mustafi. There's talks of us. It looks very likely that Marcus Rojo will be going to Everton for 25 million. But going on what Ronaldo was saying, is where we're going to finish. I do think City will win the league this year. I don't think it'll be as close as last year. I think Liverpool will fall off big time this year.
Yeah, I think Liverpool won't be as good, but
they've not made any signings, and look what happened to Chelsea.
But
they won the league.
I think they'll still be. You know, that's actually an interesting perspective because if you look at Liverpool towards the latter part of their season, they were kind of they weren't as impressive as the earlier part. They were kind of getting found out a little bit. They looked a little bit more vulnerable. So, without any major additions, you've got a whole season of teams to prep for the way you play and what to expect. That's quite a good perspective. I'm not sure they'll be as good as last year either, but I still think they will be the second best team in the league. Maybe they'll battle it out with Spurs.
I think Spurs are looking really good this
year.
They get Lo Celso and they get Ndombele. You're looking at that midfield. We're talking Ndombele, Lo Celso, Ericsson, Ali, Wanyama, Dyer, Winks. Got to be someone else.
Well, Wanyama they're offering out on loan. I would take him.
Why wouldn't we go in for Wanyama?
I'd better than Matic. He's more mobile than Matic. He's better in.
He does have his injury issue.
I think Matic might be a little bit better on the ball though.
Yeah,
But
you just
them,
need,
the one,
that kind of player is going to break a play like Herrera's, who's not necessarily going to be technically as good on the ball, but someone like Herrera was good on the ball.
Herrera was good.
Someone to make sure Pogba doesn't backtrack as much.
The Herrera void is going to be extremely obvious this season.
Do you think Fred can fill it this season?
Fred, as tenacious and as he is, you can't like kind of fault him for his effort when you watch him play, but he hasn't got enough composure to his game. He's not as tidy as Herrera is. He's just not as well. We can see if Fred can like, second season kind of sophomore season kind of thing. If he can like step up and show like the quality that got him the move to United in the first place, we might have a player on our hands. But I think by default he's going to get more minutes. He's going to by default he's going to get more like attempts to show what he's got. But I don't know. I'm quite pessimistic going into this season. If I'm being honest, if I'm being like brutally honest.
I'm excited. Anyone is naturally for the start of the season. Last year, I did have my reservations just because of how bad pre-season was. Like how awful, just what Jose was saying and stuff. I think this first game really will make or break the season because Ollie goes into that game and we tank against Chelsea and they at home. Confidence and the confidence is going to drop in the Twitter will become a United banter, thing or whatever. But like that's going to make or break the season.
Yeah, I feel like I'm depressed at this moment in time. I'm kind of like I'm not happy. I would have liked us to stand somewhere. But first day of the season, I'm going to be excited. Obviously, going to be at the match. We're gonna see what happens.
I mean, as well. Or well, we'll get our predictions here now. Where do you think we're going to finish this?
Let's say, optimistically, I'd say our top end is probably 4th.
That's what I'm hoping for. Anyway.
Yeah, I'd say that one of Spurs or Arsenal probably get it together and either push upward or those 4 up. And I just feel like if we put the system right, our defense is pretty solid now. We could probably make a push, try and jump in there, maybe right at the end, sort of thing. I'd say realistically, though, we're going for 5th and then maybe a cup competition.
I literally think 6th is realistic. I feel like Arsenal will finish 4th and 5th. Maybe I'm gonna go for a little bit of wild card. I think Everton could finish 5th. And then it's going to be between us and Chelsea for 6th place. But what's also worrying is that you've got teams like Watford, Wolves, Leicester, who are not as far away from us as we think. The issue with these teams is that it's kind of like being there, done that kind of thing. Obviously, Leicester's been there, but it was a little bit of a fluke season. But
yeah. That was crazy, wasn't it? That Leicester actually won the league, like with Wes Morgan and Robert Huth in central defence.
The fact that we were terrible that season was just just Leicester just kind of went and won it. I was like, all right, that's kind of refreshing. I mean, like we were looking at it and I was like, oh, I'm really, really annoyed. Why are we not?
We did win the FA Cup though, which was FA Cup's a bit banter now.
We won the FA Cup, but I mean, like I was looking at the league, I was like, why can't we be playing better? And then I remember Arsenal may have been top at Christmas.
Arsenal should have won it that season.
Tottenham were putting on the pressure. And it was just all those fans just kind of being like, oh yeah, Leicester will drop off. They're just a nothing team sort of thing. And then they won it. And I was like, get in there.
I think everyone was chuffed to see, because God forbid the day Arsenal win the league. But I don't think they will because, let's face it.
Almost threw.
Yeah, I know, man. It's awful. But Arsenal are always as shit as we are. Arsenal are just as banter as we are, man. At least we won the Europa League when we were in it. And they can go on about all the signings all they want. This will make it even funnier when they eventually capitulate and they just tank because their defense is crap, and we'll probably tank as well.
I actually would love to see that.
I think we all would love to see it. To be fair.
I'm liking the fact that Arsenal fans seem so optimistic. I like the fact that they seem.
It's every season they're like that, though. It makes it even funnier.
So for when they don't do as well as they expect, I can't wait to see.
They'll do well against they'll do well. I think remember they beat the Pep City in Pep's first season, but then they'll drop points. They'll like Palace. Palace is always their bogey team as well and stuff like that.
I always remember there was it was always like Arsenal, and Liverpool for a bit were like that. It was like they go and beat someone like City, and then the next match they'd lose like Brighton.
Yeah.
Like West Brom. West Brom were the one that always.
Yeah,
I remember that
Brom.
3-2 against West Brom for Arsenal. That was quite a funny one.
Any team with slight physicality.
Yeah, Arsenal always struggle against physicality, don't they, like that as well. And I think that's why maybe defensively as well, I don't think they've improved. They don't have David Luiz maybe, but he's only going to play 10 to 15 games a season. I think if you're relying on David Luiz to play 20, 30 games a season, you're in big trouble.
Do you know what I think about like Arsenal's defensive issues? I actually think it's a style of play kind of thing. I think the team doesn't ever have any balance. It's literally offense with Arsenal. When you watch them play, they're easily countered, and their defense is often left exposed, kind of thing, rather than their defenders actually being individually shit.
Well, you look at all, I can get that, because you look at all the signings that they've made. The Ceballos in midfield.
That's a good signing.
He's a very, very good signing. And I love Ceballos a bit. Yeah. It pains me so much that he went to Arsenal. But you look at all their signings, it's all very offensively orientated. Pepe obviously is kind of like, okay, he's a winger. We can, but Ceballos is an attacking midfielder, and he'll probably be played deeper down, so he'll be pushing forward. Yeah. Kieran Tierney's an attacking left back. It's
a good signing, but a lot of money from a team like Celtic. Fair enough to Celtic that they held out for that much money, but I always thought you could get players out of cheap.
There's often players don't do as well outside the SPL, the Scottish Premier League.
Gary Hooper syndrome.
It's not a standard to judge players by.
Van Dijk, there's a Gary Hooper. Just keep that in mind.
I feel like Kieran Tierney's a tiny. I do quite like Kieran Tierney. He's got like the sort of, and he's proved it in all competitions.
He's a good player.
In the Europa League, he proved it. When he was in the Champions League, he proved he's a good player, but he's very attack-minded. Yeah. And then David Luiz is an absolute nutter who goes on mad runs and just pings long balls.
It's going to be like 8-5 all these Arsenal games with Dave Mustafi and David Luiz. But someone said Kieran Tierney had like hip surgery or something like that, some major hip surgery.
He's been injured for a bit.
So you're spending
extreme injury prone. That's the worry about him.
Kieran Tierney, I mean, you're spending 35 million is not a lot in this market. Or is it 35 million? Because I remember they had the 25 million rejected anyway. Yeah, it's going to be south of 40 anyway. So, but they needed to fix that area anyway. But less about Arsenal, more about United. We're on about the outs now as well. Rojo's on his way out as well. And a lot of people talking online as well. I mean, Rojo's probably the first, and you'd have to say only bit of Deadwood that's been moved this summer. Why do you think? Why haven't these players been chipped out? The likes of the Smalling. I can see why Smalling's kept around, but the likes of Jones and Darmian has been kept around.
There is a good player in Smalling. There was, because I mean, remember the Van Gaal season? Like he was.
Yeah,
he could defend off.
If you're looking at the list of centre backs that you've got to keep some backup, obviously. If you look at the list of centre backs, Chris Smalling is nowhere near the top of the list to go. Like obviously we're saying Rojo, Jones is ahead of him. Yeah. Tuanzebe we're keeping. We're not getting rid of Tuanzebe. Please do not loan him out. Like there's 30 minutes to go nearly now. Please don't do that in half an hour.
Please don't give him to Bournemouth or anything like that.
But he's definitely not at the top of that list. But I just feel like it's the wages. That's the problem. Like unless you're going to go to him, we'll give all these players away for free, which you won't because they've signed them all to new contracts. And they made that point. They're not going to be able to clear them out because who's going to take... Which I'm surprised why Everton are taking Marcus Rojo. Yeah. Because he's a player who would thrive probably at a mid-table team because he has that physicality. He has that sort of like... If attackers get scared of him because they're scared he'll break him in half. But he's on 150 something a week probably, and if you put that in a team, you're instantly getting a kind of decent defender as your highest earner, and then you get a wage structure problem, which is what we have, where everyone then is like, well, this kind of average player is on 150k a week. Me, a player who thinks he's much better, wants 200, and that's what we've got with Sanchez. Yeah, and that's why we haven't moved Sanchez because he's on 375k.
No one can pay the wages.
No one can pay the wages. No one wants to pay the wages. Everyone has seen what has happened to us. How we're having problems with our contracts, and they've been like, you know what? That is not a clever thing to do. We're not taking him off.
Yeah, that probably makes sense. I mean, how much is Jones earning now? Do people say?
Oh, God, I hate it.
150 to 200k a week. Something
all Adidas sponsors.
Man, it's fucking insane though.
Marketing issue.
Yeah, that's what it comes down to. You look at something like Dybala as well. There really is like that marketing and image rights thing. There's so much crap behind the scenes that goes into signing.
That's what I'm saying. Like, obviously, think about the amount of Adidas sponsored players United have signed in recent times.
Pogba, like, come on, man. so much money.
There's something going on.
It's 150 million, and there's a reason Pogba's worth
Conspiracy.
150 million because the Adidas money, just pure revenue. Like, but going on to what we were saying before, we kind of got sidetracked a bit. What we thought our signing of the summer was been, and for me, I mean, I'm gonna go for a club outside the top 6. I think Pablo Fornals for West Ham.
That's good for
25 million.
Extremely good buy
for a guy like that, and I think he's only 25 years old in central midfield. We're talking about Declan Rice and Mark Noble. You know, Declan Rice is.
I think they needed a DM though as well.
Yeah,
like their midfield.
Fornals is kind of Ceballos-esque in that way.
I've noticed this with a lot of Pellegrini style teams. It's always like, oh, they're really, really fun to watch up front, and then they just kind of fall apart at the back. I mean, we had City for a bit, who were obviously a bit better, but that's because they're a quality team at the time. But all the other teams I've watched them at, it's like, Malaga. It's like, they were really good forward. Yeah. Like, they had Isco, Santi Cazorla. Yeah. Monreal was a great attacking fullback. Yeah. Who did they have at centre?
Yeah.
Demichelis.
Demichelis.
He was all right at Malaga, to be fair to him. I mean, like,
we got him removed to Atletico.
Ponytail
Demichelis. We watched it.
Oh, no, man, you don't want to short Demichelis when it was fucking dead. Like,
we watched Demichelis at Man City. That was what was funny to watch, but at the same time, I was like, actually, I felt sorry for the man. He was
like a tight at the back for
Pellegrini team.
It was
Javi Garcia,
Tulalon as well. I think Javi Garcia was as well. And Nistelrooy, I think, might have been as well. It was that weird time where Malaga...
Roque Santa Cruz?
Might have been too as well. But Malaga had all that money at one stage, didn't they? They had so much money pumped into them. And remember, they were that close to beating Dortmund when they got to the Champions League semi-final, or to the final when they lost to Bayern. But there was like 2 goals in injury time Dortmund scored under Klopp. But like, no, Fornals for me, like, I think he would complement Rice in that midfield. I think Mark Noble is great as a servant. Excuse me, as he's been for West Ham, is probably on the tail end of his career and probably played less games.
You know, like, I'm going to ask you this, like, back to United point. The fact that we haven't really, like, addressed our attacking areas of the pitch in the transfer window or the deadline day. We've literally done nothing today but sell Lukaku. Do you reckon it's kind of forced our hand in terms of having to involve the likes of Greenwood, Gomez and Chong rather than look? Because in an ideal scenario, we'd have experienced marquee quality players that we've brought in or have already at the club playing, and then we could say, Greenwood, get your experience out on loan where you'll play every week in, week out, get that valuable experience. Come back as an 18-year-old, firing, possibly ready to go. He's still young, still got all the potential, but it's a lot of pressure now to the fact that we've not been able to find a replacement. Our right wing situation is kind of up in the air. Is Daniel James the answer? Is he not? Is he a project? Like has been said. Yeah. I feel like it's a lot of pressure now on the likes of Greenwood to come in and like literally fire straight away. You know how the British press can be young players.
He's 17
years old. It's a lot to ask, but do you think that there's a little bit more pressure on us to play youngsters this season?
Well, I don't think we have much of a choice. I don't think there's any choice. I think we're going to see... I think there's players like... I think Mason maybe is one of the few who I could see maybe going into the first team kind of very quickly. I think Gomez and Chong would benefit definitely from a season on loan away. But I do think that the fact we have been so stagnant in the market and so faffing around has forced our hand that we have to go with this. And I know Ollie before the season, maybe he saw this in the back of his mind that he wouldn't get the players, and that's why he always said we're going to put emphasis on playing youth players and players who, want to play for the club, which I think is a good philosophy. But I think the fact that maybe he knows that Ed Woodward isn't going to get these deals done, and these are gifted players that are in the academy, but that's probably why he's probably preceded this in his head and thought probably going to have to start hyping up the youth, doing the opposite of what Jose did last season. Going to have to put a lot of emphasis on playing them in his philosophy.
Yeah, because Greenwood will be staying. Like, I think Ollie's already said he will be staying because regardless of signings. But my point is just the pressure that's on him to perform.
It's a lot of pressure.
I think we're in a completely different world now, though. Because if you had said like maybe 5-10 years ago who you needed in your team, everyone was like, you need 24 to 25-year-olds because they're all in their peak. And there's like just hitting 25 minutes actually.
Yeah, 25 minutes left of the window there.
Thought I'd let everyone
down
know
at the bottom there, our timer there. So about 25 minutes left of the window.
A very boring 25 minutes.
Yeah, no,
like, you always are looking at these like 24, 25-year-olds about to hit the peak, and they were the signings that you needed in your team, and that would improve you. But we're in a whole new world. That the fact is now is you have these young players coming out of nowhere,
like 16, 17.
hitting like 2 seasons, and you're like, oh my god, they're going to be like 10 years of just brilliance. You had Mbappe. I mean, like Marcus Rashford to an extent. Not
two of those players didn't start playing until halfway through the season as well.
Exactly.
Mbappe didn't break into that Monaco team really until like January.
Exactly. I mean, like, think of the pressure on that situation. Like Monaco went and absolutely stormed it after he came.
Yeah.
Like, Marcus Rashford, he thrived under the pressure. He needed to score. We were 2-1 down to Midtjylland.
Yeah.
And we were and then at the start of just before the game starts, the only striker we have was down with a hamstring injury.
Yeah.
And a guy who wasn't even meant to be on the bench because Ashley Fletcher, about a month, just a couple of weeks ago, had gone out on loan, who was the starting reserve striker.
Oh, God, I forget Ashley Fletcher played for United.
Ashley Fletcher was one of the best strikers in our reserve team. And then he went out on loan. So Marcus Rashford just ended up on that bench by chance.
Rashford wasn't even like the biggest hope as far as I can remember out of that academy team.
And then he was going to start. Martial got injured in the
warm-up. A hamstring injury in the warm-up. It's just, it's like, so like, that's what I'm saying. Like these players, like Jadon Sancho, he went straight from City's academy. Dortmund were like, that guy's looks promising. He's had 2 seasons there now, and apparently he's like 100 million.
Is it 2? Or was that his 3rd season?
He just finished his 2nd full season there.
Second full season.
But he was a starter mostly, and I think he got the most assists
in
Europe.
It might have been, Europe's top 5.
I think just overall contribution, goals and assists, really.
But it's like we're losing, and we're looking at all these young players. So what's the difference between?
Seen where he started the season as well. In the Super Cup.
I saw on the Super Cup.
Oh yeah, he's already got a goal and assist.
But like all that takes is like Greenwood to walk in on this like this season coming. If he hits like 10, 12 goals, maybe gets 5 assists. That's a brilliant season. That already offsets the deficit of Lukaku. Yeah. And the fact is like there's nothing that can say that he won't do that. I mean, like we saw in the match against Cardiff, he had 7 shots, and they weren't like they were bad quality shots. There were 7 shots from high scoring percentage areas. He was very unlucky on some of them not to get them in. I mean, the thing is like this is the difference now. It's like a lot of primes and a lot of young players are hitting high numbers from like earlier on.
Yeah, earlier ages. Yeah,
and that's the sort of players people are looking at. You spend 100 million. Like the fact now is like if it's a 19, 20-year-old, you end up spending 100 million on them.
Market's so inflated as well.
Yeah, exactly, because they're the players that are going to do that for like 10 years plus, and it's like completely different to what it was.
Remember, guys, there's about 21 and a half minutes left of the transfer window. Get comments or whatever. What's your signing of the summer, and what signings would you have liked to see? Obviously, it's a very boring last 20 minutes for us here. It's been a long day. Living in hope. We didn't have a lot of hope for the Mandzukic deal, really did. I mean, 33. That's not really a lot to hang on as well for a deadline day. When were the days like? Do you remember when Berbatov came in 2009? Like they were just peak deadline day signings as well.
That's wide, right in front of the TV screen.
Oh man, Falcao as well. Do you remember when Falcao came? Everyone was like just came out of nowhere. Like it was unbelievable. But
please don't say Falcao's name. I had so much hope, and it just went so badly, so quickly.
Well, at least it was a loan deal. Can you imagine like Spunk and whatever? It would have been like 50
I would have been. I feel like the Chelsea fans got the worst.
Oh, they got even a worse Falcao. Do you remember? Did he play a full season on loan at Chelsea?
Oh yeah, he did. They loaned him out straight afterwards. We should have probably had the warning signs of Mourinho from that because of someone who was like, you know what, someone else didn't do that well with this player. Let's go and pick him up. Like Sanchez, it's like City want this player. Yeah, I want this player. It's it's just such a weird signing.
It's the same way they got shit Torres after Liverpool.
It's crazy though how an injury can just ruin a player like that.
Yes, Falcao
was like, he did well to come back with Monaco though.
Apparently, as soon as he left United and went back to Monaco, he was firing on all cylinders again. He did well. He did it well last season. I think he's been a bit. Monaco were shit this season. They nearly got relegated.
Oh god, they
nearly went down, which is
that's
insane.
because they had a season of top quality players.
Sold all the best players,
and sold them all at once.
They had Thierry Henry as manager, whose managerial experience was learning under Roberto Martinez, who is one of the most tactically stagnant managers I think I've ever seen.
Nearly got the Barca job though.
I don't know. The fact is, it's like everyone gave him really high praise for that Belgium team. You could have put anyone in charge.
Yeah.
You could have put me in charge of that Belgium team. I just was like, you sit there. Hazard, do something.
Yeah,
pass it to Lukaku, and he'll put it in the net for Belgium.
It's insane how Belgium
was that.
You could have had anyone, but the fact
is, it's a generation of players.
Yeah.
15 years ago, they weren't even qualifying for World Cups.
You put anyone like.
How does that happen though?
But you put anyone decent in charge of that manager.
How does
the team?
How did Belgium just all of a sudden have a golden era of like European top talents, just midfield, defense?
It must just be like the
just an embarrassment of riches.
Youth structure or something like that of just bringing in players.
We've had it in the past. England had it with obviously we had the golden generation.
Golden generation,
yeah, and we had Lampard, Gerrard,
Rooney,
Scholes, Rooney, Beckham.
Yeah,
like you look at that team and you're like,
Ferdinand,
it's like that team probably played. How did that team not win anything? How was the Belgian team not win anything?
There were so many good. They just chucked all the best players 11 on the pitch, even though they couldn't. Like Lampard and Gerrard in a central midfield together. Like that doesn't. Yeah, that doesn't gel at all.
No, it doesn't.
You look back on it now and stuff like that. It's insane. But about 20 minutes left of the window now. We're not hoping for anything at this stage, guys. I mean, it's long gone now.
I mean, the only positive is if Rojo leaves. Like,
I'm 25 million for Rojo as well.
25 million. So our net spend will be 40.
I agree with that guy.
2 million. Oh,
we'll go through the comments as well.
I actually agree with that guy. When I saw Watford signing Sarr, I was like, I wouldn't have minded him at United.
A right wing, on the right wing, yeah.
I was really impressed with Senegal in the World Cup when I watched him.
We were discussing this as well, like earlier in the office. Me and one of the lads, like United just don't scout players anymore, really, do they? I mean, apparently Daniel James was given to United because Giggsy recommended him, Solskjaer and stuff like that.
You don't see that a lot anymore, where they just pick them up. Like, like it used to be like a prospect would.
Commercialism now. Who's going to sell shirts? That's what really kind of drives a lot of signs.
You don't see a lot of teams do that nowadays. Like you get the ones that City do it very well. Like they don't. I mean, like, they spend a lot of money, but like Sane from Schalke was a very fast winger. I mean, I didn't really rate Sane at Schalke. Like I personally admit I was very wrong. With my opinions of Sane.
50 million at the time. I was like, wow, that's a lot of money.
He is ridiculous. But then you just look at, but you don't like Liverpool do it quite well. Pick up players like Robertson for 8 million.
Yeah,
it's just, and then we see us and was like, oh, what are we doing today? Oh, we're throwing 50 million at this striker who was good 2 years ago. Why?
It's mad.
It's like because his name is kind of still Solskjaer.
Yeah,
it's a really weird situation we find ourselves in. I just saw a comment. It was, injuries are a problem when it comes to midfield. We are so thin. Why did we not buy a midfielder?
It's a question we're all asking ourselves, isn't it?
I know.
Really?
I feel like we've been in talks for midfielders. Like we seem to be
Bruno Fernandes, man. I can't hear that guy's name again. I'm sick of doing videos about him.
Bruno Fernandes is going. If Bruno Fernandes goes nowhere this window, I will be disappointed. The Portuguese press will just be like completely.
They drive the signings to drive the players' value up.
Yeah,
it's so obvious. They've been doing it for years.
Like, but the fact, I think we were in talks for Dybala, and then obviously image rights not that well. We were in talks for Eriksen, but he wants to go to Spain because he wants a lifestyle change. I mean, come to Manchester, you'll see there's a lifestyle change. Definitely.
Yeah.
And then we apparently earlier on this week, according to The Athletic, everyone's new, apparently favorite news source.
Yeah.
Everyone seems to be linked with it. Every single news source I see is The Athletic for now. We had some talks with Longstaff this week.
50 million.
We offered 30.
No chance.
We offered them 30, and Newcastle went, nah.
Well, they're bad.
The fact is, though, is he will have a good season next season. I can see it coming. It might be like Wan-Bissaka, like where he played 9 games and then everyone thought it was good. Play a whole season, everyone thinks he's fantastic, and they'll be like, yeah, we'll have 70 million. And we'll
played 9 games. Sean Longstaff.
Nah, that's
9 games for 50
Matty
million.
Longstaff. That's where it's
fucking games. Is that his brother? Is it?
That's his brother.
How old is his brother? I didn't even know.
I think he's young. I'm guessing he's younger, but the first game I've seen Matty Longstaff, first time I heard his name was, oh yeah, Sean Longstaff gave him a pass and he just banged it in from 25 yards.
Was he playing for Newcastle in pre-season? Was he fucking hell?
But maybe if we've spent 50 million on Longstaff, they're like, we'll take 50 million for
no
Longstaff.
chance,
Like,
no
comes
chance.
to the door, it's like, is this Matty Longstaff? It says on the contract Longstaff.
50 mil for 9 games. Come on now.
Was he even in the England under 21 setup? But I think he was injured, to be fair. But I think there's about 15 minutes left of the window now. It's hard to think of any other moves going through now. But
And you've got this Andreas. Says I want Partey, Fernandes, and Sancho. Well, Got to remind him this isn't FIFA 20.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think he's gone through Ultimate.
I'm saying,
can I just make a stance, just a general claim to all United fans? Can we just please just like stop with Fernandes?
I'm sick of him.
I understand that he looks very good. He's 32. 32 goals.
He's
Sorry,
32.
no, he's
not.
like 25, 24, 25,
32.
32 goals, 18 assists. Yes, he would have probably improved our midfield, but we were never in for him, and there was no like
why though?
That was,
yeah, that's
why
the
were
question.
we?
Why weren't we in for him?
I mean, I feel like everyone's been of the point like we've heard about Fernandes so much, but why have we not signed him? Maybe it's not like he has other attributes that don't fit in with what Oliver Gunnar Solskjaer wants. Maybe he takes like 6 shots a game.
Yeah,
like that's ridiculous. Like
that
maybe
across all competitions.
Yeah,
or just
but
in
the fact is, if they don't go in, it's a waste of possession. Maybe that's a factor that factors into why.
Kind of like Suso at AC Milan, who takes like an insane. He's got everyone has highlight reels of Suso on YouTube. Scoring screamers because he takes every time he gets the ball. He's like
took about 5 against United.
Yeah, he scored one banger as well.
Like he may score 30. He may score 32 goals in the Portuguese league. But if he ends up taking 6 shots a game and only scores like 10 or 15, but that's still like 5 times. If one goes in like every other match, that's still 5-6 times a game.
Have you seen him play?
I've seen him play. I've seen him play a tiny bit.
I've seen him in European competitions.
Forget like the stats. Forget all that. What does your eye test tell you? Like
he works hard, and I'm not saying that I'm not saying that I might not have wanted him from what I have seen, but I have seen limited amounts. There's probably someone who's been scouting him every game and made a decision that's not the player that they want in the team. But from what I've seen, he works very hard for the midfield, but he does take a ridiculous number of shots from anywhere.
Yeah.
Like, as soon as he sees the goal, he hits it. And that's not the best.
It's going to break down. How are you going to fit him into a team with someone like Paul Pogba there? Because you can't play Bruno Fernandes deeper, because that's not what he's best at. He's best at, obviously, you don't score 32 goals from central midfield.
All depends on the system Ollie was going with. If he was going 4-2-3-1,
yeah,
then I would say Fernandes 10.
Yeah, and then Pogba deeper.
Pogba deeper with McTominay, not Matic.
No,
not
static match. Like,
but Matic probably will start, but I'm not a fan. I think McTominay has shown enough in the preseason. Like, he is good enough.
I think Matic is a better player than Scott McTominay, but Scott McTominay is just
I've been impressed with him.
He's got
I wasn't on the Scott McTominay bandwagon before preseason, but I do rate him a little bit.
Daniel
now.
Quarter name is, we don't need another attacking midfielder. A breakup midfielder is needed, like Kante. That would allow the likes of Pogba and Lingard to go forward more.
Okay, let's just go find a Kante.
If it's that easy.
That's what I'm saying.
As Ronaldo just said, I raise you McTominay. I mean, like, I know it's a lot of pressure on the lad, but the fact is, I was looking at his stats and I kind of had a little look, and the best way I could say about under Solskjaer was his Champions League stats. He only played under Solskjaer. He played the PSG game and the Barcelona games, and I think he averaged 2 tackles a game. I think it was 2 interceptions, 2 dribbles, like, all action midfielder sort of thing, and he had a 91% pass accuracy. Like, if that next to Paul Pogba, and you have Paul Pogba, who, when he gets the ball at his feet, doesn't seem to lose it.
Yeah.
That's a decent midfield. And obviously, you have McTominay running about. I mean, like, you can say, yes, we'll go splash 60 million on Indeed. But if you take, like, we give him 6 months, McTominay, to do what he does, and he turns out fantastic. That is a player for 0. That is a player for £0 that we have now got, who is committed to the club. He absolutely, like, bloody loves United. Like, and when you listen to him, he's a proper character. He loves United. He tries to help everyone calm down. He obviously he's very calm presence and sort of thing. Yeah. But, like, we go and splash out 60 million on someone like Ndidi. Yes, we solved the problem, but, like, then you take in the stance of everyone would be like, if McTominay then ended up getting sold somewhere else,
flourishing.
Now you get another everyone going like, why Paul Pogba situation? Like, yeah, you let him go for like 10 million, but now you're trying to buy him back for 9.
Now you are right though, because if Ole does go the Matic route, I feel like Matic should be on a very short leash. McTominay should be up his arse in like the selection.
And I think he has done with the tail end of last season.
I think he does with the tail end of his last season, how well he performed in pre-season. Matic has to be thinking, I've either got to perform or I'm out of the team. Simple as, because McTominay coming, and I think he can make the step up. He's big, he's imposing, good on the ball. Better on the ball than I thought he was.
Yeah.
There's literally no reason that Might should be the answer ahead of him for very long.
Guys, in the comments below as well, while we're going, there's about 10 minutes left. Sky News just breaking there that Arsenal have signed Kieran Tierney. No surprise he was there. But rate in the comments out of 10, what would you rate Man United's window? Because reading through the comments here, all of us here, a lot of conflicting opinions. We've got one guy as well saying up here, Elgon Wales 87. I'm happy with this window. Wan-Bissaka has done great, which he has. We've snatched Maguire from City. We also snatched Fred and Sanchez. Decide for yourself on that. And James will be great. When it comes to replacing Rom, I'm with Rio. Give Rash and Martial a chance. I mean, to an extent, I agree with that. I think Daniel James is a massive product, though. Or a project, I should say. Massive project. He's definitely not the finished article. He's got wheels, and that's all I've seen so far.
I've literally, when I've watched him pre-season, he's quick. But as a United, like as the way United play, we're not really an out of possession kind of team. Yeah. We might be a little bit more this season, but Daniel James is more the defense is slowed down on the other side. You 1-0 up, you need a counter-attacking presence. He might be very dangerous in that kind of aspect, but he looks quite limited when teams are on the defensive, 2 banks of 4, and he's got to like make something happen. Yeah, so to speak. So until he develops that part of his game, he's definitely a project more than anything.
I remember seeing that goal just against Brentford that he scored. That went viral.
Pasted down
it doesn't take a genius to realise what his game plan is.
Just
I'm faster than you.
Faster than you.
Before we get back to Daniel James, I'd like to just say I changed my signing of the season. Newcastle have just re-signed
Andy Carroll on a free, man. The absolute shithousery that's going to ensue.
Oh my God.
Well, we just imagine him and like. Okay. Imagine him and Almiron in the change room.
Almiron's just there, like silky skills from South America, and then Andy Carroll just lumping it.
So that's where Joe's gone.
Joe's in Newcastle. Like.
Joe's gone to Newcastle. I saw Daniel James over pre-season. He created 4 chances a game. I mean,
opposition, taken into consideration.
Opposition taken into consideration, and also taken into consideration, they probably aren't all chances that people got on the end of, but. He did seem like he had the every single time he was running and trying to get the ball in. And he seems to get the ball into the middle. And sometimes it was he just didn't look up and see there was no one there. But at the same time, it's like, are you going to knock someone for constantly getting down to the line and kicking it into the box? Like, no. Because that's every time you put it in the box, all it takes is one time for someone in the striking area just go, you know what, I should probably get there. Yeah. And then put it in. Like when Wan-Bissaka got down the line and gave it to Mason Greenwood, that was like the position that Daniel James kept doing.
We never saw goals like that last season, did we? City score a lot of them where they just run up and square it across like that.
Yeah,
because they're so good at passing and building up play.
We've been getting some ratings. So B&Q is good. Said 7 out of 10, maybe 6.
That's a bit generous.
CJ Martin 6.5. Elos 5.
Real Gomez 3 out of 10.
3. Ooh, that's a bit of a.
Hopefully not related with that. With that.
A question to ask you lads. What would you lads give it out of 10 this window? Start with you now.
It couldn't be any higher than the 6. I'm very, very happy with the Wan-Bissaka signing, and Maguire will be a good signing as well. But we just needed more. Simple as we needed more.
Yeah.
And are we much better than we were last season?
Yes, I think defensively.
But how big of a step up is it going to be? That's the answer. Because you can't look at it in a micro way of just saying how much better are we in terms of ourselves compared to last. You got to put it into the perspective of the teams around us. They got better. Mostly, yes. So, if you take that into consideration, have we got better enough to take us above them? In a sense, so I would have to give it. I'm going to go 5.5. 5.5 out of 10.
Casey, what are you saying?
Right, I'm gonna give this with a salt. I'm gonna say 7 out of 10. I'm gonna say we started the defense, which is massive. We've got Wan-Bissaka, who is ridiculous, and we've got all the players. I'm gonna say this with a pinch of salt, and this might end up somewhere like
clipped up somewhere. In
about 5 minutes, there is the sense of the fact that Pogba will not leave United this window.
Hopefully in the next 5 minutes,
In the next
we'll
5
see what
minutes.
happens in the
If
next
this
6 minutes.
if it comes out in the next in 4 minutes and 30 seconds, Real Madrid
He's
have
having
put-
his medical.
he's having his
and then
medical at
we'll
Real
come through.
Madrid. I don't think we'll sell unless we weren't going to sell unless we could. And I think Pogba knows that. I think like this. And keeping Paul Pogba is very important because without Paul Pogba,
Very ordinary.
God help
Very
him.
ordinary team.
But
5 minutes to go.
yeah, 5 minutes to go. So yeah, in 5 minutes, please don't leave us.
Some lads already said Bagbon Reaper. Man said 7 out of 10. You're crazy, mate. And I'd be inclined to agree. I think 7 out of 10 is a bit too generous in my eyes.
It's a push.
Man said 7 out of 10. I agree with you.
I'd say we're keeping that, and also we've got contracts and stuff like that. That's all important. As I said, maybe 7 out of 10. 6 out of 10 is probably a push. I'd say that, but I like that we kept Paul Pogba. Obviously,
Do you?
yes.
Having a player obviously Paul Pogba is the best player in our team, hands down. But having a player and he's been very professional about this, I'm not saying that, but having a player who doesn't want to play for your team, who's come out and said that, is that a player you want to be
But
having
he's
around?
never obviously
It's something that'll split opinions, it really is.
he never makes those sort of inclinations when he's on the pitch. Like all through preseason, he's not said anything. Played his football. He played for a back injury against Christensen.
Yeah.
He had a back injury and we went against a Norwegian side.
No one's doubting his professionalism.
Exactly. But the fact is and you can't say that any team in the Premier League wouldn't take Paul Pogba.
No, everyone would.
Everyone in
Any
the
team in
Premier
the
League.
world would. Any team in
Exactly.
the world would.
So the fact that he stays at United and he's allowed to do what Paul Pogba does is great.
So you're taking that into consideration of rating a transfer window. You're not just rating additions. You're just rating.
I'm taking those sort of things into. I feel like that's important. The fact is that we haven't got any weaker from where we were. That is an important thing. We've got rid of Lukaku, but the fact is what we want to play. And you see the pressing football without Lukaku. In pre-season, yes, we're going to look at it during the season. It looks a lot better.
What Yusuf said Pogba can still leave because obviously the deadline day is only England.
But I doubt that.
I doubt we'll let him leave though.
That we sell him without a replacement.
Financial fair play's got to play into consideration.
Yeah, because I don't think
And
Real can't afford
Real are
him.
apparently after Neymar as well now. So
yeah, well, they're in talks. That'll probably be the biggest transfer rumor that's going to dominate the headlines for the next few.
exactly.
Few weeks.
I know we can still leave technically, but I don't think United sell. He has 3 years on his contract with an option to extend for a further year. We want 150 million. They're never going to pay 150 million for him. And
is it Jubs Hubbard?
No.
Oh, sorry, Chris Lowe. Given our really low net spend this window, do you think? I'm guessing you're missing a word there. Do you think the Glazers are potentially positioning us to be sold?
I think that's hope. That's some hope.
I don't think so. I think the club's making too much money now for them to consider.
Yeah, I'm hearing over $1 billion.
Something mad like that. And obviously
revenue.
the Glazers out movement will probably kick into massive
Arsenal
spend
had
now.
this for 10 years with Stan Kroenke.
Stan
He just
Kroenke,
kept getting lower and lower and lower.
They were still kicking off about it earlier this year.
And then he bought the rest of the share.
Yeah.
It's just
He owns LA Rams as well, though. Kroenke, innit?
I feel
yeah.
one of the interesting decisions is going to be see in whether we do appoint a director. I feel this is the thing. Ed Woodward, if he just stayed in his office, his sponsorship deal, no one would care. If he just went, here's the amount of money you can spend for the transfer window. I'm going to go off and talk to some noodle people, and they will sponsor. Maybe we're going to get some Mexican taco people in. Yeah, I don't mind him doing that. That's his job. That's what he knows how to do. He's very good at doing it.
Yeah, he's very good.
But he shouldn't be in charge of transfers. He doesn't you see people they got Edu in Arsenal or Ralph Senheli. You've got all those. You've got people who have been in football their entire lives and they know how to deal with other people at football. Yeah, someone who
just to interrupt you that case for a second. There's 1 minute left now. 1 minute left of the summer window.
Ooh.
Let's see what can happen in 60 seconds. Paul Pogba.
See if anyone puts in a sheet.
Sorry, go on. What were you saying?
So I was saying, So if you need to get someone who knows football, because someone who knows football would have probably figured out that they could sign Wan-Bissaka for 50 million within about 30 seconds, and they would probably work their way up to it, and in about 2.5 the time, they would have sorted out that deal. Yes, it was very good that he got it down from 70, but we could have done it quicker. Yeah. And the fact is, everyone's looking at our options are Darren Fletcher, Rio Ferdinand, all them sort of things. But that's like every single like major football team's model. Like Bayern Munich have done it for ages. Ajax have done it for ages. Like they've got old players in who know the game, who know professionals. Because other professionals go into other clubs. So if you were playing at the same time, you're gonna know them already. Yeah. You're gonna know what sort of person they are. But it's just how the system works. And
Sky have got their big fuck off timer now. I think our timer was just a little out of sync, but the last 3 seconds. You really missed Sky back in the day when it was, and now the window's closed anyway. We can say that, but you missed when Sky was fun back in the day.
Did Rojo get announced?
I don't think there might be no Rojo. Lads behind the camera telling us no Rojo. There might be. Can you still sign the extension?
You can put in an extension sheet.
But anyway, that's the transfer window done for the summer, lads.
Yeah,
all the goss can stop now.
Well,
all the Twitter. Let us keep knowing, guys, in the comments below. We're probably going to wrap it up now anyway. But let us know in the comments below, what would you rate this window out of 10? A lot of lads saying. Casey saying 7. I don't know what he's been smoking. Ronaldo
I'll go with 6.
Vince deluded.
I'll knock it down.
No, you went with
5.5.
5.5. I'll probably go with a 6 as well. But we're going to wrap it up there, guys. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. All the good stuff. We'll be going live on Sunday for the first game of the season for our watch along against Chelsea. Kickoffs at 4. We have fan cams as well. So if you see us around the ground, if you have tickets to the game, make sure to drop by and give us your opinions and stuff like that. But game kicks off at 4 o'clock, does it?
4 o'clock.
So we'll be going live with team news at around 3 p.m. on Sunday.
Tune in.
So tune in, guys, and
definitely.
See you in a bit.